It's Tuesday morning and we're saying welcome to Breakfast Central here on News Central. It feels always and really good to be back on the air after yesterday. Today promises to be very spectacular as usual. We do have all the big stories to bring to you, not forgetting to the latest news around the world, and we would be having some, I'd say, very, very interesting interviews as well. My name is Joe Hansen and I'm thanking you for joining us. I do have the beautiful Olive who joins us here this morning. Take note of my word as she joins us because she said it was a very, very interesting night that she had. Delectable and fashionable Olive, I must add. I love that bit of fashion there.
Please, where did I say it was an interesting night?
You said it was, you had a very
No. I did not say it's not so. I did not say anything. Bonjour, je m'appelle Olive Emodi. Je travaille avec News Central TV. Bienvenue, Breakfast Central. Whoa! My French is Frenching. But, you know, I have to speak that to officially announce the return of our national daddy. Daddy Oyoyo. You say Daddy Oyoyo season. The president is back into the country. Mixed reactions. Because of the president's return, we'll be taking some of these mixed reactions much later when we look at what Nigerians are saying. Remember that you can be a part of the show today. It's not just us talking. We want to hear you talk. So when we open the phone lines during the newspaper review segment, then you can call in and share your thoughts on any of the stories we'll be exploring this morning. Once again, you're warmly welcome. I am Olive Emodi.
Wow. Yeah. So, for the latest news, insightful conversations, and everything in between, this is the place to be. Breakfast Central. Sit back, relax, grab your cup of coffee. Let's rock and roll. Where do we start from today? Interesting way.
Can I just point something out?
Yes.
Two people here are wearing matching colors. Somebody's tie is matching with my dress.
Yeah.
This
is a shame.
What do they say about great minds?
Great minds
think alike. Yeah. Why are you not a great mind this morning?
Great.
Why?
This is a shade of teal now. Eh? You guys don't know your color spectrum.
Instead of you to say, he's matching with me in tie, you are matching with me in name because you are wearing olive. Wisdom.
It's fine,
okay,
it's fine.
Let's get to it.
We've loosened up now. Let's go straight into the business of the day. Yeah, the business of the day. The very first story has got to do with the fact that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is back. Yes, he did come in, and the videos have been online circulating as usual. Drum rolls and the red carpet, laid just before him, and there he returns. You can find prominent figures, faces. You have the Attorney General of the Federation there. You have the National Security Advisor, who's equally there. The Minister of Budget and Planning, yes, of course, Bagudu, and the likes. Many of them, welcoming him and saying, welcome back. I was expecting that. It could have been. Yes, that's yes, on Wiki. Mr. George Akume.
Yes. Where did you see Mr. Wiki? I didn't see him more.
He was the first on the line. Yes, he was the first on the line. And I was thinking, possibly there could be that drum roll and the parara, the parara. 19 days working visit. That's a long time. Even us don't get that much leave in the year.
I don't think that HR can actually revisit our policy.
Yes, he's the president. Because the load is carried on his head. It's too much. It's too much. What ankles are uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. Yes,
that's a valid one.
But let's talk about this culture of having senior government officials who should be at their duty post. The National Security Advisor, for example, it kind of belittles their position to come see the president off. I wonder where it started from. And when the president returned, they all line up, to welcome him. I saw a video of President Cyril Ramaphosa. He was departing, and he just said bye-bye to a few Air Force officials and went without pomp and pageantry. Do you think it's high time?
I think it's also a part of our culture, right?
Yeah, but culture.
Can I explain why it's
I don't agree it's part of our culture.
So why I say so is because I think that governance is how they do governance here. In a way, they're trying to fuse it with culture and tradition. Part of the culture would be when your daddy is going to work, you go and stand by daddy, bye-bye, by the window. And then your dad is back. Once you hear the honk of your dad's car, you do that, you're outside, back in the day. So in a way, I think that has morphed into governance. But yes, I do understand.
Yeah. At any time of the day the president lands, they would leave their duty post to go welcome
we
the
don't need
finance
to make
minister.
a fanfare.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
And I completely agree with you that, well, I mean,
There's Council of State meeting tomorrow, Wednesday. They will meet there and exchange.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I think that if I'm trying to be neutral, right? I'm trying to find a middle ground.
Yeah,
and the middle ground for me would be, okay, it's in Lagos, or it's in Abuja. It's not causing that much of an issue. Where I have a problem is when, okay, he's going to London for something, and then all of them will pack themselves to London and go and wait for him there.
That one I don't completely
understand.
It's part of the culture we need to get rid of. Yeah, and talking about middle ground, Olive, I think you need to have another sip of your coffee. You need to wake up. You're already standing in the middle ground between two great men.
Let's move on to the next story now. Our next story.
I love the way Joe shuts me up.
Olive, what's that story?
Doesn't exist.
Anyway, a pastor has come under fire for a comment he made just yesterday. A day before yesterday, I beg your pardon. This video started circulating, most importantly, day before yesterday. And yesterday it caught fire. Now, he highlighted the role of social media in shaping negative perceptions of Nigeria. He suggested that people are being programmed to hate their country. Not just that, he went ahead to make some statements that netizens felt it was a negative remark and he should take it back. But let's watch the video and you would be the judge and the jury. Our job here is to just bring it to you, and possibly we'll also highlight some of the parts or the points of what we think. Take a look.
I found a group of people, and people have been programmed on social media to hate their country, which is self-hatred. I was in America. I sat down with some Nigerians and they started. I told them, I said, listen, before you continue, Nigeria, a person will graduate as a medical doctor and spend 500,000 throughout to become a doctor. Throughout. I said in America, and they're working in Johns Hopkins. Go and ask them how much. You graduate from Johns Hopkins, you graduate from Harvard as a doctor, and you spend $2,000. Are you okay? Do you know how much money you spend? Now, Nigerians are ungrateful. They will go through everything, education. How much do they spend there? Go there. I said, look, you see a Nigerian, if they tell him in Nigeria to do 2 jobs, he will cost your life out. He will come to America, wake up in the morning, do first job, do second job, do Uber, and do everything he's doing. I said, if they put the fraction of this energy they put here in their country, they will have blown. They kept quiet. He told me, he said, listen, what's the unemployment rate in Nigeria? I said, we don't calculate unemployment rate. He said, no, you must give me a figure. I said, there's no figure. Nigeria, there's nothing like that. Let me tell you why. Yaba did a trade just for church members to sell things. I thought they just put out tents like this, 1, 2, 3 in the car park. I thought, I wasn't saying this thing is a waste of time. One lady said, came to me, Pastor, thank you for doing this. Now, just to show you, she was selling wigs. She has a job. Before my eyes, somebody came out of the church and bought 3 wigs, each one 250,000. That business is not registered though. 750 grand that girl carried home. There's no job she's doing. So if somebody is in their house and just starts selling wig, are they unemployed? No. But are they registered as employed? No. Our statistics here is different. Understand your terrain. Do you understand what I'm saying here? You see, one of the problems in Nigeria, people don't understand their terrain. Understand your terrain. In America, you will sell like that. IRS is coming for you.
All right, that's the video. Let me go to the guys first.
I mean, there's some home truths there, and I believe there's this trend and herd mentality to always follow the crowd, and I've noticed this on social media. I agree with him on we're programmed to hate our country. I don't know if it's programming, but a lot of people say, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. How do you, because if you have problems with politicians or certain policies, you address them. You don't say, oh, Nigeria is a failed state, you know, don't let Nigeria happen to you. There are positive things, great things happen in our country. So we should be very careful about the words we use to describe Nigeria. So I don't think Nigeria is a terrible country. yes, we have challenges, we'll surmount them, but don't write off Nigeria and say, you know, Nigeria is a cursed country, failed country, blah, blah, blah. And we see a lot of that on social media.
Interesting. I mean, I don't have anything to say.
All right.
I think his points, like I said, everybody's open to the opinion. If you also go to a few other persons, just yesterday, we did see another pastor who was talking about the president. You know,
and the National Assembly.
Coincidentally, both sermons were going on at the same time. You know, different venues, and he had mentioned clearly that he thinks the president needs to stop playing God, so on and so forth. And then on this other hand, he was saying Nigerians. So you have one talking to the leaders, you have one talking to Nigerians. Whether we like it or not, I keep saying that what everyone is going through is a systemic problem, and it starts from the top. So if the top is exemplary and it works from the top, it will definitely trickle down to the bottom. I'll give an example. If you say that a lot of people on social media are talking bad about Nigeria, don't forget that we've also had leaders who have come out, especially during interviews and so on, to say that Nigeria is a failed state. Yes, they've said that. And in the course of
not a responsible statement.
in the course of saying that, however, it's the context that made them say that. So I feel that if one says Nigeria is a failed state, I think we need to contextualize it now and say Nigeria is a failed state in XYZ.
Or Nigeria's failed
We're three of us here. We cannot help but agree that Nigeria has failed or is failing in the healthcare sector. Facts. Nigeria is failing in insecurity. Facts. Because we've not seen a double up. We've not seen things that have been done, proactive measures. Granted, I mean, the security agents are trying their best. But we believe that if they get the support, we've talked about videos of fighters who have come up, police officers who have said, listen, we are told not to attack.
I wouldn't use the word fail. I would say we have challenges.
It's challenging, but you see, Benga, I think, like I said, it's contextualized. We need to contextualize it.
You're done. Like
no, I don't think so. You know why I say
I mean, if you fail an exam, you fail the exam.
You can do it again. You can pass. So it's a pass. Failure. That's why I said let's contextualize it. The word fail, for me, what I understand with it, and I think it's something that every other person should adapt on social media. I agree with you, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying we need to contextualize it.
Okay.
If something is not working, if you don't pass an examination, you do what? You are marked, and the mark could be either you fail or you pass. It means that if you fail, you could either start and work again. But when they say it's a failing state, I agree with that word failing, because it has not, it's like a student who has said, I will not pass. Anytime I have the exam, I will not pass. Then you are failing. You have made up your mind that you continue failing. But if you pick up, the same people will say, oh, take a look at the Super Eagles when they win. What do? Do we say Super Eagles are a failing club or a failing national team? No. People say, oh, Super Eagles, well done. They celebrate because they've done well. That's what I think.
So I think I'm going to start with my premise, which I always see a lot on the show, which is the fact that two truths can coexist. One, first truth being that on the one hand, some of the points that he's raised, many of us can agree with, in the sense that, yes, you know, it's cheaper to school here than it is to school abroad.
Taxation.
You know, taxation is not as intense in Nigeria as it is abroad, because in the West, you start, any business, you know, you have to pay tax. However, it is also true that in some sense, the government hasn't lived up to expectations. And when Nigerian people complain about the things that they expect of their government, those complaints did not start today. Because if things were put in the way, like if the right institutions were set up, if the right modalities were set up to guarantee a great quality of life for Nigerians, Nigerians will not be complaining. I don't think the majority of Nigerians enjoy that. Yes, there are people who like to politicize these complaints and just go and make Nigeria look bad, yes. But I would think that the majority of Nigerians just want a better life, right? Fact. If we're even talking about tax, the reason, and that's not an excuse, but Nigerians even want to see the tax working. If you go to London, you go to the UK, for example, yes, they have to pay so much tax. But you can see the system. There are basic things, for example, the transportation. 3 of us did not need to drive to work today if we're in the UK, because we have a transport system that works and that guarantees that once you leave a certain time, you can plan your life here. The factors don't guarantee you, don't afford you that. every society has its weaknesses, every society has its strengths and its weaknesses. Even the NHS, you know, in the UK has its challenges. You see the British people complaining about the wait time. Here in Nigeria, we have the quote-unquote luxury, and allow me to use that word loosely, to be able to go to a private hospital to get attended to, but not everybody can afford that. So I think what we should look at is not take specific scenarios, but look at a vast majority. Is there really an unemployment challenge? I would believe that there is an unemployment challenge.
Of course.
Regardless of the definition of unemployment or the redefining of what employment is by the Bureau of Statistics, there is a challenge. So, and I respect Pastor Quadri Alabi because I think that he has done a lot of work in terms of ensuring that he pushes conversations like this through the platform, YBF, and the like. So there are a number of initiatives that he spearheaded to champion the great cause of, you know, Nigeria. He may have, I believe that he definitely has the best interest of Nigeria and Nigerians at heart. We're all passionate about Nigeria. The thing is, in the way that we communicate it, sometimes we can miscommunicate the best of intentions.
Thank you very much. And always quick to insult at the slightest provocation.
Yeah, so I do think, I think that, but Nigerians, but Nigerians are not lazy.
Absolutely.
Nigerians are not lazy. The fact that a number of them are doing 3 jobs or 4 jobs abroad, the system affords that. We don't even have the opportunity to do nightlife here, for example, in Nigeria. You don't have options that require you to work at night, and even if there were, you're concerned in some measure about your safety. Just yesterday, we're talking about
your main employer sucked all
your main employer will tell you to stay in the office from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So there are challenges, and I'm hoping that we can collectively look at ourselves, look at our government, and consistently still hold the government to account. Because they have a lot of...
But their reactions, let's get to see some of the reactions as well on what people are saying. There's a few reactions there. Oguntoye Okoyemi says Pastor Poju Imade has dropped another one for obedience. P.S. They can't cancel Pastor Poju.
Which one carries
the treasure land? Most of Nigerians who studied medicine in Nigeria live in large in U.S., while their counterparts in the same U.S. are still paying the student loan even after 20 years. Take a listen.
Just to mention to this Oguntoye, these are the people that stoke fires. You didn't necessarily need to mention obedience. Obedience had nothing to do with that.
So can you see what I'm saying? It's the context in the sense that even in the response, can we say that he's also free? So you see that anyway. Let's not go into that. They killed Christian some days ago, but he lost his voice. What you people are doing is idolatry and complete loss of common sense. If Sergeant Peter Obi is what tickles you and him, then there's a problem. Loss of the spirit of God, lack of empathy, hypocrisy, and so on. Now, this is where I have a problem because it now delves into religious divide. Everybody starts bringing religion into the picture. Wow, 500K to become a doctor in Nigeria, incredible. That's cheaper than a face me, I slap you room at Ikorodu, less than a term's fee in mid-scale Lagos. Primary school and somehow covers labs, textbooks, and so on and so forth. Must be from the University of Fantasy because no real med school runs on the kind of miracle budget. Tell your pastor try to calm down now. I'm also going to respond to this, and I think, 500K now, I don't think that's the truth.
This present 500K, maybe a few years ago.
Even a few years ago, I don't think it's not possible. You can't go to med school with 500,000. Let's be, for those of us who have
maybe
medical
30
students,
years ago.
30 years ago, yes. 20 years ago,
500,000 as in it's too cheap or it's too expensive?
It's not possible.
Too cheap.
Okay,
it's too cheap. It's not possible.
My little,
it's not possible.
One of my little cousins called me a few days ago and they're asking for 180,000 secondary school.
Yeah, it's not possible. So I agree with that tweet. Maybe the pastor was talking about some years ago, but that figure, no, it's not possible.
Well, the dollar was 100 naira to a dollar.
Right. I want to take a comment from YouTube as well. We have Mokunye Chukwuemeka, who's streaming live on YouTube. And Mokunye says, for Pastor Poju, these guys should stick to praying and reading the word. We don't hate Nigeria. We hate what Nigeria has done to us over the years. Nigeria has limited us badly via our leaders. And I think that this is the sentiment. It's not really a thing of people saying they hate them. Nobody wants to hate their country. I want to be able to travel with my Nigerian passport and be proud because my country has such a great public image that when I tell people I'm from Nigeria, everybody wants to associate with me. But that's not what the current reality is, unfortunately.
Anyway, if we want to extend this conversation, we can guarantee you that we will not leave this set today. We will not move on with the conversations that we have. So the best thing we could do is to ask you to ensure that you stay with us for the next 3 hours, where we'll be having very interesting conversations from now up until 10 a.m. West African time. Let's take you through what the top stories are for today on the Tuesday here on Breakfast Central. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Nigeria's Minister of Defense, Mohammed Abubakar, has restated the federal government's commitment in ensuring the safety of both lives and property of citizens, irrespective of their socio-cultural differences. Mohammed Abubakar was speaking during his visit in Plateau State to commiserate with victims of the April 2 killings in Basa local government area of the state by alleged headsmen. News Central's Chizoba Nyongwe tells us more.
This visit of the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Abubakar, is his second in Plateau State in less than 1 year. He was received at the Yakubu Gowon Airport in Haipang by security chiefs in the state. This time around, he is here to commiserate with victims of the recent deadly attacks in Basa local government area of the state. He assured that everything is being done to ensure an end to these senseless killings.
We are working as a team, the state government, the community leaders, the security agencies, and above all, the command and directive from the president that this must end. And I am sure all the security agencies, the government and the state government and the different stakeholders are on this to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
He conveyed President Bola Tinubu's charge to security chiefs in Nigeria to fish out masterminds of the attacks for justice to be done.
The president is really committed on this, and he has directed that we must find the perpetrators of this evil and let them face justice. And the security agencies are investigating seriously, and we are on the trail, and God's willing, we'll get to the root of it, and the perpetrators will be apprehended and they will face justice.
The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Mentawe Yowada, assured that support efforts for victims of the attacks have been initiated.
We are providing 1,000 hectares of land right inside the local government here to ensure that we cultivate the land for them. We've already acquired the land and they know the land already. And we've already signed an MOU with them before I left and came over this not today. And we are cultivating and ensuring that for every households, each household will be given half a hectare. So for the 1,000 hectare, we're targeting 2,000 people, household to benefit from the 1,000 hectares.
Right behind me here, inside this compound, is where we have the Minister of Defense and of course the Minister of Humanitarian Services, who have come here to pay a condolence visit on the traditional ruler of this community where these attacks took place some days back. It is hoped that their visit here will bring a positive turn in this community, as well as in every other affected community in Plateau State. In Basa local government area of Plateau State, for News Central, Chizoba Anyuwe.
Very insightful reports there. Well, joining us for this discussion is security consultant and expert Onyeka Chiadekoya, joins us live in the studio. Thank you so much for being here. First off, let's start off by asking, do you think the visit of the minister would instill confidence, especially for the people of Plateau? Because there were concerns that since these incidences took place, there was no presence of the #1 citizen, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who of course arrived the country just yesterday night. But now that you have the Minister of Defense himself going there to assure the people, do you think this would in one way instill confidence?
Firstly, my heart goes out to the community, Basa community. I schooled in Jos. I lived in Basa. I lived in Koba Barracks for some time. You would also recall that then Lieutenant General Lagbaja was also in Basa on the same issue. And when he did that controversial push-up, which I did complain about, that it's somewhat of an aberration when you have two communities, as it were, squabbling, and then you have our Chief of Army Staff go there. Again, we're coming back to the same thing. It's quite sad and unfortunate that the Minister of Defense has had to go there. This is again an aberration. It's misplaced, with very profound respect, to be looking for the president in this case. I always ask a question: what are the governors doing? What did we elect them for? I heard a very, again with respect to the governor, very flimsy excuse from the governor on what has happened. Quite unacceptable. The governor is the chief security officer of the state. They will make the argument that they don't have control. No, they have command. Let me make the point. Every state governor sits at the top of the State Security Council. He has command of all the armed forces within the state. What he does not have is control. For good reason also. Lest you have a state now have control of his own army and wage an insurgency against the federal government. But he has command. He has the DSS at his beck and call, the army. He has those formations there. He has the command.
So what's really the difference between command and control? How do they exercise both?
The word rest, it speaks for itself. When you control, you are the one in charge literally. You can bend and shape as you will. When you have command, in military speak, command is taken to where command becomes more effective. That is to say, you can say, okay, form this joint task force. You can give lawful orders. You can create initiatives. You can deploy resources. You can mobilize the resources. You know, you can move. I was in Jos the other day, just last year. We had an engagement with some law enforcement, was some training we're doing there. And I didn't feel comfortable in Jos because the security looked a bit lax. What we find most times in this state is that we are almost like we're waiting for an incident to occur.
Then we react.
Correct. And then we leave everything to happen chance. You can see the governor there speaking. It has happened. I don't want to be, you may quote me, but sadly this is what will happen. This will happen again. This incident will happen again.
So what do we need to do differently? Because, I mean, we've been on this issue for years. Is it beyond our control? Is it manpower? Is it equipment? Is it personnel?
You know, some people were cutting onions for Pastor Puju and Pastor Tune Bakari. I think our psyche as a people has been a bit warped. With very profound respect to all of us Nigerians, I think we are amongst the most unserious people with our own security. Recall that the current DG DSS came out and said that the army cannot deploy to every place. The DSS cannot deploy to every place. You know, communities must now take the initiative. This is why I blame the governor. The politicians can mobilize every ward, every police unit to win an election. They cannot mobilize to ensure security.
Yeah, but the kind of equipment this...
What equipment are we talking about? Let me explain. So, you have hunters, vigilante groups, civilian JTF groups. They can be armed with guns. Their classification of weapons
are against AK-47.
No, I will explain. So, if you develop the system properly, these CJTF and vigilante groups can act as a force multiplier to the main actors. They can cut off areas, they can engage in search and destroy missions. They know the topography, they know the land, they can be mobilized. Let me tell you what happens. In some states, they are paying the CJTF 20,000 a month.
Hey.
You can quote me, some states in the north. In some states, they don't pay the vigilante people. These are governors, wow. They are not so excellent, although we call them excellencies. So, quite conveniently, the governor will come out and say, it's our enemy, the enemy is from outside, we are incapacitated. And I raise the question, look at the analogy. When it comes to an election period, everybody's mobile. What does it take to conscientize the people? To form them into groups, for the governor to sit at the top of that structure, to resource them. The bulk of the issue with security in Nigeria is logistics, not even arms.
Now, Eka, to T.Y. Danjuma, and a lot of Nigerians recently have started echoing your sentiments with regards to self-help and defending oneself. T.Y. Danjuma made a statement over the weekend. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar also made a statement that Nigerians should try and defend themselves. Do we run the risk of having private militias and vigilantism? And it could also, we saw the incident in Uromi, there are possibilities of it leading to jungle justice.
Good question. The issue of Uromi would happen when the approach is not structured. When the initiative is led by the government of the state, then it will be within a framework. For example, the Southwest has Amoteco. Amoteco is armed. They are making some strides. The governor of Anambra, when he came into office, Professor Chukma Soludo, I mean, he took insecurity head on. He has made some progress. I was in the East this December. I drove on the road. Anambra is looking better. Professor Babagana Zulum moves into the heart of the insurgency with his own convoy. And you can see his own countenance when it comes to the issue of insecurity for his state. You can see the countenance of the Plateau State governor. Again, another person had made an argument and said, who benefits from these insecurity issues? As it were, the political class. Because a narrative is reinforced on the Plateau that, you know, there are hostile people trying to take over, therefore it's us against them, reinforcing such sentiments that favor the political class. So when you are doing an analysis of crime, the question is who benefits from it? Not saying that the governor has a hand in it, but the narrative suits a sit-back approach. The people are protesting and marching on the streets in Plateau, calling on the president, who is in Abuja, but nothing said about their governor. Nobody's saying anything about the governor. There's a local government chairman. Somebody just did an analysis of FAC allocation. They shared about, in February, about 1.6 trillion thereabout.
Yeah.
The percentage increase sustained from 2023 till date is approaching 100% increment. Is there no local government chairman in Basa local government? What does it take to conscientize, organize, equip, resource, even if it's motorbikes, even if it's on horsebacks? There's a state I visited one of the formations. The commandant told me that for his entire formation, one of the states, I won't mention, from Abuja, he gets an allocation of 100,000 every month for his entire allocation. The governor gives a pittance to support that formation every month. But they have a huge sum for security votes.
Yeah.
Where is the security vote going to? My brothers and sisters on this platform, with 20 million now, you can organize serious chaos in any community in Nigeria. Just 20 million. We've seen people behead people just because they said somebody gave them 10,000 and go and behead people.
Yeah.
Let alone 20 million. Let alone estates with FAC allocation. What does it take? For you to, you need logistics. You need to be able to move your people from point A to the point of action. You need to also move them in a protected convoy. Look at the policemen we have across the states. You see them at checkpoints. They don't have bulletproof vests. So what you find is that an AK-47 is worth now in black market 1.5 to about 3 million. Some miscreants come to that military checkpoint or police checkpoint. They waste the life of the policemen. They cut their arms away. So our police are not properly equipped. They are not properly protected. The army, the formations in the different states do not have the logistics. Say for Lagos State, where you see RS vehicles around. Yeah. Go to the Plateau.
Yeah, but the budget for defense has been increased year on year.
Yeah.
What difference does that make?
Yeah, see, sorry, we shouldn't be laughing over this. The president has no business with what's happening. I'm just pointing to you the problem that state governors. Nigeria has not been invaded by Niger, by Chad, by Cameroon. Our territorial integrity is intact. The problems we have are problems of internal security. It is pure madness to say that the president must protect every local government.
But in fairness to the state's chief executives, yes, they don't have a military background. Where does the help and support come in from?
Dear God. So you see some of these governors, if you see the dynamics of their cabinets, they tell you, you never tell the governor the truth. If you tell him the truth, you are out of his fund. Political sycophancy. They don't get proper advice. You get a retired military person. You're dealing with the issue of public safety. Forget the way it is. Crimes of opportunity will fester where they have the opportunity to fester. It's just a crime of opportunity. Where there is no program, what is the state security program? The state governor should share with Nigerians what the state security strategy document states. A state that has witnessed incessant violence. I was in Jos in 2001, 2, when that major Jos crisis happened. So, you know the background. You know the job you applied for. You took the job, you were voted in. Now it has happened. You are looking for an imaginary enemy. But you have all state governors are powerful.
Of course.
You remember when Wike was saying he will revoke federal government parastatals CFO and nothing will happen? The whole power of the state and the title of the land in the state rests and is vested in one person, the executive governor of the state. These governors in Nigeria that we have should become more responsible.
So this argument about the president being the one to be held accountable because he's the commander-in-chief is not an argument that we've... I mean, this is not the first time.
It's a useless argument. It's a very useless argument.
So is there a way that we maybe can redefine Nigeria's security architecture or a legal instrument we can use to ensure that we're able to hold, like you said,
yes,
the governors to account?
Good question. On this issue of state police, have you seen the Nigerian Governors Forum go on a protest on the streets of the FCT, claiming that the federal government has stopped them from having their own state police? Have you seen any of them? Under the administration of President Buhari, he floated the idea of state police. Who rejected it? The State House of Assemblies rejected it.
Yeah.
On what grounds? They said they don't have money to pay the salaries. Teachers are going on protest, as I understand, in Abia State now, yes, for lack of payment of salary. The state governors who don't pay salary are the ones that want to pay state police. Are we joking? So when it happens, they conveniently look to Abuja. But where is the political sincerity on the part of the state governors to address the issues?
So what can Abuja do differently? Because it's a collective effort. I know the state governors are domiciled there, but Abuja also has a responsibility. They have huge budgets for defense. The president controls the National Security Advisor, the service chiefs, what have you, directors of SSS, DSS, and all those parastatals. What should Abuja do differently?
Yes, so I said that at the onset of this administration, that this administration will fail as other administrations have failed in the matters of security if, one, the president doesn't make it clear to the state governors that they are the chief security officers of their state. He must come outside and make it clear, but he cannot do that because he needs the state governor to win an election. So we have a system that perpetuates itself. But that's what the president must do. You know, sponsor an executive bill, again, on state police. Take, the British have a fantastic system, and also the Americans. Take effective control back to the states. People say if you give the state governors state police, they will misuse it and abuse it. Yeah, is the federal police not being abused already? But what's the worst that can happen?
It's
Chinese nationals were recording,
they will use the state police to go after their political opponents.
That's fine, the federal, so that's even a lazy argument again. So let's even face the issues. For state police, do their weapons classification. Class their weapons, first service pistols. Before any weapons will come into Nigeria, you need an end user certificate. The federal government will still retain the power to grant those licenses. You limit the amount of assault rifles to only tactical teams, you know, that can bring suppressive firepower where it is needed but limited. We have 79 Mopo squadrons across this country. What do you think they are meant for? They are meant for quick response. Those Mopo squadrons will still be there. Where the state SWAT team has been overpowered, then the Mopo will come in. Where they are overpowered, then you bring in the military. But what we do first, what is the Minister of Defense going to do on the Plateau? Just because we don't have, we're not thinking as a country.
They said it went to commiserate with them.
But why? When we are attacked by Chad, when we are attacked by Niger, what is he doing there?
Anyway,
it's because every time we think security, we think military. And we are thinking military because we are improvising. We are suffering from an improvisation syndrome. A security architecture was bequeathed to us by colonial overlords. We have continued with that improvisation till date. So it is this is not it. Mind all of us Nigerians, the vultures are circling. 2027 election is coming in. We have data from when we started keeping data, almost 12 years now. On the eve of every major election cycle, violence will spike. So it's trending upwards. Yeah. It has not peaked. This will not be the last, unfortunately. I would like to come back on air again to say I said so.
I hope not.
Always welcome.
But this is how I always come back. This is what I always say every time. And it does happen. Data is indicative. It's like a man who is driving. The one before you turns on his trafficator. He's showing you he's going to go right.
Absolutely. Right. Okay. Now, I mean, you've been talking about the witnessing, feeling particularly concerned about this because, I mean, you have affiliations with JOS. No,
I've been on ground.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is not the first time, like you've mentioned, and you are saying that this might not be the last time. Do we know what the root cause of the insecurity in Plateau is? It's been there for years. The governor does say that there's an issue of genocide. There are people who talk about it being political. We're not quite sure what the exact cause of it in Plateau State is.
The cause of it is a kakistocracy. Just to water down the English, yeah. We are governed by the worst of us. It's a governance issue. You should sit in the room with some of these people. We're not led by the best of us. With very profound respect to all of them. I don't want to be in front of the National Assembly tomorrow and I'm explaining myself as to
what you said.
What I said. Yeah. But clearly, we are not led by the best of us. All these flimsy excuses are useless. They are completely nonsense. To say it's a genocide, to say they walked on the ground. They passed through major supply roads. Even if they came to the forest, there's no land in Nigeria that doesn't have family holding it, or a community holding it, or a government holding it. Did they fly? We have a DSS station officer in all the 774 local government councils, government areas in Nigeria. We don't have an intelligence problem. What we have is a resource mobilization problem to address the issue of insecurity, not an intelligence problem. And by the way, the NSA is nothing more than an aid to the president. That's why you see, he shouldn't be speaking on these issues. He's a security advisor, not a cabinet office. His role is not to control the military. To make that very clear, he is to control the 3 major intelligence agencies and coordinate matters of intelligence and provide advice to the president, not to Nigerians. So every time they say he controls the NSA, he is his aide. State governors have their own SSA now. They have their security advisors also.
Yes, they do.
Yes, so what does that do? So the problem we have in Nigeria is our governors.
Now, Nkechi, I want you to sit back for a bit and look at what we have and point to the positives and where we can begin to turn the curve in our favor. If you look at the Nigerian Air Force, for example, their inventory, they've improved in the last few years.
And the Navy too?
Yes, and the Navy, their UAVs, Tucano jets, what have you. How do we use all of this sophisticated weaponry in our favor? And what other positives do you see? Because there are people watching and it feels like doom and gloom.
No, so for the Super Tucano, we got a stripped down version of the true capabilities of the Super Tucano. So if you mention it as a complex fighting machine, it's not in its full.
But we're not fighting conventional.
Yeah, so even that's why we went for the Super Tucano. There's certain capabilities he has, precision strikes he has, day and night capabilities. That we went for it. It's also best for close air support because of the cannons he has also. But we didn't get everything we paid for. And that's an aside. There are several equipments we paid for in Nigeria that have not arrived.
America also.
Well, we're in a state of geopolitical unrest where we are competing between different nations and interests in Africa and on the global stage. So it's in nobody's interest to have a fully virile, fighting, well-equipped Nigerian army that we go back to the days of ECOMOG when Nigeria held sway
in West Africa.
In West Africa. And by extension was a major power bloc in Africa and could block any other interest. So
it's not in the U.S.
No, not in the U.S. informed interest, not even in China's informed interest or Russia's informed interest. for Nigeria to stand on its feet. In 1980...
No, the positives, I need to...
let me even just say that. We built 60 ABT aircraft in Nigeria. We're poised to become the aviation powerhouse in Nigeria.
And what happened?
You should ask the Nigerian Army and the successive military administration that put us where we are. So we're just coming back to invest in naval platforms. So, on the positive, unfortunately for all of us, you cannot put something on nothing. I see no positive. Yeah, there's no positive. We are postured to react. We are not postured to respond. We are not postured for risk preparedness. Our security culture is not drilled. Our level of appreciation of situational awareness or security education is poor. We don't even do security education in social studies. You understand? We are firmly religious. We would rather plead the blood than be serious with our security. And profound respect, it's not that the blood doesn't work. But even Israel has, according to reports, over 1,000 nuclear warheads. They have the Iron Dome system. I don't know who pleads the blood better than Israel. They're in the midst of a hostile environment, and they are thriving. So we are not serious as Nigerians about that security.
If let's also look at the fact that, I want to go back to the budgets that are being put for security. Every year we see a review, an upward review. Even this last budget, it was taken up. A review upward, an upward review. What is the problem with Nigeria's security budget?
Let me
is it that it doesn't get to, because also I just want to add, while you touch on that, we've also seen videos recently of security agencies, police officers, army, now making videos and calling on the government and saying, help us, we are dying, look at what we are going through. The one we saw yesterday, an amateur video where the police officer was saying, they were told not to go after the insurgents, that they're playing politics with this. So my question is in two parts. My first question simply is, what's happening to the budget? Why is it not meeting its needs? The second question is, do you think that this insecurity crisis is being politicized?
So first, to that video you spoke about, it's you cannot verify the claims in those videos, so I will not speak to. I will just discount them. Okay. The other issue of budget, in its real form, the budget is not enough, because in terms of our defense capability, we're significantly interdependent. So while the budget has swollen up, the dollar value has dropped, so we can purchase even less.
What about that?
Then there's don't make me cry. Don't even make me cry. Don't make me cry. DICON is trying. We cannot even produce bullets sufficient to our needs as a country. When we say we're a giant of Africa, you don't know the scale of our problem. DICON cannot produce the amount of bullets. We say import bullets. Before this DICON matter came up, I'm not sure what. So something about the budget.
Yes. Yeah, the budget.
The budget. DICON, may God help us. We have federal colleges of technology across this country. We are not technology in nothing. That's a DICON problem. And there is no super great power today that its defense industry has thrived under government control. You need to bring in innovation and then public-private partnership to fuel, and energize the that sector. An exception would just be maybe the USSR that has always had technology under state control. Every other case, you need to bring in people. So in terms of the budget, yes, there's inefficiency. The bulk of our problem sometimes is not from lack of good intention. It's just from pure ignorance. I've seen import of equipment. I used to sell equipment in West Africa. You buy a device that is $100 and you bring an expert, a white man, fine lady, they come and make a presentation to the people who have to make the purchase decision, and they call that $100 unit 2,500, give it a fine name, maybe Orion 100X, and do a nice spec sheet. And then the person says, okay, fine, $2,500, add another $2,500. And everybody's happy. So we are buying rubbish because the people who are supposed to be there, who should know, don't know how to buy equipment, run it through severe tests under different stress conditions in which we will be working, and then make the final purchase decision. Where you have such people, They don't make the purchase decision because the politicians have to go and procure on behalf of Nigeria, because now Nigeria has a government-to-government purchase policy or a government-to-OEM purchase policy. But the people making the purchases sometimes are not the technical people.
So does it mean that this entire scenario, we can say, is partly politicized as well?
Well, election is coming up. People have to mobilize resources for election.
By any means necessary.
No.
You have said so.
Okay, let's talk about the economic drivers of insecurity as well, and poverty as a key economic driver. Is there a way that maybe economic investment can help in this fight? Employment to reduce maybe the rate at which young people are initiated, let me use that word loosely, or being recruited by these bandits?
Yeah, so fortunately my first degree is in economics. The argument of this economic side, the data would not suggest that that is correct. If you look at the poverty capital hubs of Nigeria, somewhat was north, okay, but if you look at the geographical spread of crime, it's across the country. So you cannot say it's poverty induced, So we have in Nigeria what is called a wicked problem. A wicked problem is a hydra-headed problem needing some multiple layered approach to resolving it. So yes, if people are busy, they will tend less to crime, which is why the crime rate in Lagos, not because Lagos is doing anything particularly fantastic. Lagos doesn't have the dynamics of Edo, for example. You won't find land in Lagos in the first instance. Where you find them is over-speculated real estate people. So you won't have hubs for people to operate. So we don't have an insurgency. We can fool ourselves and say, oh, Lagos is fantastic, but the dynamics are different, okay? Yes and no. For our case, the data in Nigeria will not suggest that because of poverty, people are tending to crime. Because innately in us, we're very cultural. We're very conservative as a people. If you remember growing up in the villages, we slept with our doors open. We have not lost that essence completely. What you find in most of the crime stats is that the crimes are politically induced. One, some politicians will arm some thugs to destabilize their opponents in the strongholds of their opponents. Post-election, they abandon those idiots. They've been weaponized. They have arms. They have to fend for themselves. And they go on unleashing mayhem on the people. Another 4 years, they come back and recruit those same people. Now, as long as the government doesn't pressure them and allows them to do their business, but supports their election campaign, it's all fine in Sicily. Everybody just, reinforces each other. How did Boko Haram come about? You say, okay, support your argument with fact. Boko Haram existed, first of all, as Ekomog boys. In Adamawa, you have, till today, what you call the Sheila boys. In Lagos State, you have the National Union of Road Transport Workers. We profound respect to them. Or you can call some of their elements area boys. Agberos. So, this system, but in Lagos State now, the Agberos now, they are big boys, because on a daily basis, I think as at the last 5 years, they said they generate about 1 billion every day. Yeah. They are big boys. There's one close to where my church is now. Built this fantastic house in less than 6 months. It's killing ram and cow every other day. Business is very good. So Lagos enjoys some peace.
Now, Onyekachi, let's talk about the strength, personnel.
Yes.
Mr. President said, during his campaign, they employ 50 million youths into the army, give them cassava gari, and they went viral. But looking at the numbers we have, and vast ungoverned spaces in Nigeria, some analysts have said we have a numbers problem, that we don't have enough personnel. There's only, I believe, Depot Nigeria Army can, in a year, recruit up to 6,000, if I'm not mistaken, and NDA and all the armed forces, and also the Nigerian police. So what can we do to encourage? Is it that people don't want to join the armed forces, or we don't have the institutions to absorb them?
Which you mentioned, Depot Nigeria Army. The NDA was attacked the other day. Gas Brigade in Abuja was attacked. I don't know what it is. It's not a numbers problem, really. You can't turn the entire Nigeria into a barracks. I know you took a small swipe at the president on the Garibi Sewa, but I'm thinking that maybe he was thinking about agriculture, because you did
unemployment too.
Unemployment, yeah, because the truth is, to your point, very valid point. The bigger problem we have is the problem of food insecurity. Look at where these issues of so-called farmer-header clashes are occurring. Run the stats. Do like a geospatial representation. You will find that this instead occurring within the regions of our food basket. From the belts in the northwest, the Alagamo forest, follow to Niger, to Benue, to Plateau, you go back up to the northeast, within that belt. What is at stake? Food insecurity. What have we seen over the last 8, 9, 10 years? That the price of food has sustainably been on the rise. What's the impact to Nigerians? Our disposable income will continue to drop. The country will continue to be impoverished. You will have social unrest. When you have social unrest, the Nigerian government will be preoccupied with internal strife and unrest, such that it will no longer be able to project force and power across the African continent. So if you add one or two together, you will see the size of our problem.
Well, this conversation is one we'd love to continue, but as we wrap up, I mean, they've said there's no discussion of
you can't build
police.
on nothing.
There's no discussion of state police.
Oh, the National Assembly, I mean.
On Thursday, the FEC have come out to say there will be no discussion of state police.
Conveniently.
Yes, conveniently. The Minister of Information has said that. Said that will not be on the table this Thursday.
But it doesn't mean that the conversation is totally out of the picture.
The people should protest against their governors. Stop the nonsense of, go to the government houses, protest. If the governor will not ensure your security, sack him. He should resign and leave the place.
I think also the challenge is when people hear protest, there's a pushback because of the fact that there's an assumption that protests must be violent, and how protests can be.
It mustn't be.
Yes, PTSD.
It mustn't be. It mustn't be. And I'm saying that we are giving the governors too much pass. The governors are in turn giving the local government too much pass. Who says that the governor can't declare state of emergency in a local government also?
Instead of waiting for the president, and then everybody's asking.
But you see, somebody said, oh, the president should declare state of emergency on insecurity in Nigeria. No, he should declare state of emergency on governance at the subnational level. Today is security. What exactly are these governors doing? Roads. Show me. Payment of salary. Show me. Building their local economy, improving their IGR. Just show me what these governors are doing. And you expect them to do well in security.
As an aside, as we wrap up the conversation, when they find these terrorists, these bandits, when a number of them are arrested, how best do you think they should be handled? Should they be
They should be handled according to the law.
Into the society?
There's a place for that. There's a place, sometimes in military strategy, there's something called building a golden bridge. If it costs you 20 billion to reintegrate, as against spending 200 billion to continue to pursue a war that you do not end, I'll take the 20 billion reintegration. So it's about strategy. We're not thinking in this country. That's the honest truth.
Okay, Oyekachi Adekoya, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for your insights and your
Quite an interesting conversation we've had this morning, and sobering. But now let's move on. We're still talking about insecurity. In the face of renewed terrorist activities in Borno State, residents of Gwoza have vowed not to abandon their ancestral homes. During a visit to the community following the attacks in Yamtake, among other areas, Senator Ali Ndume urged residents to rise up, report suspicious activities, and collaborate with security forces to prevent further incidents. Our correspondent, Umar Karawa, who traversed several parts of Gwoza local government area, has more in this report.
An aerial view of Gwoza local government area in Nigeria's northeast. Despite the sporadic attacks on communities like Yamtake, Guduf, among others, community leaders and residents have expressed determination to remain in their localities.
Shekaran jiya nan da aka kawo hari nan inda kana wuri ma sai kai mamaki ba in garin da mata da maza duk fita muna yi su wallahi muna fita mu je mu tare wurin sai dai sojoji mayar da mu suna yi
wannan sanan daram a Gwoza suna ne gaba kida ba wani ba inda aka tafi mutane ma suna marmarin zama a Gwoza gaba kida.
Through the rough and dusty terrain, we traveled to Yemtake, one of the communities recently attacked by terrorists.
Zamu zo mu ba su abinci, zamu ba su tampolin, zamu ba su taburma, zamu ba su katifa. Gabaki daya zuwa suna ayi zaman lafiya, ayi noma, kuma in Allah ya raba za a fasa ba. Mutanen Gwoza kowa ya shirya. Yanzu ko su ko mu ne babu magana bari.
When I was a commercial driver, I used to fly this one. In fact, I work weekly basis. But today you can see that the situation here is very devastated, and actually we are calling on the federal government to do more.
Ba da goyon ba wa sojoji za mu tashi da addu'a tunda su samu kayan aiki su ci gaba da jajircewa kamar da jajirce insha Allah Allah zai ba su nasara akan makiyan.
Gallantry response by frontline troops as well as civilian JTF, vigilante and hunters at Yemtake, showcasing their level of commitment to ensuring peace.
The situation now is calm, but actually unpredictable. We will continue to ensure that Yemtake is held in strength so that, like I said, we will achieve our mandate.
So I want to use this opportunity to actually commend the action of the President and Commander-in-Chief, Bola Tinubu, and of course the service chiefs for their gallantry and quick response to a situation like this. This further tells the terrorists and the insurgents that they can't defeat our Nigerian army.
The Gwoza community, including both the leaders and teaming youth, resolved to rise up and protect their communities and support the armed forces.
Gwoza naku ne da sanin cewa mun ga wulakanci da kuma bari in gaya maka in ka fita ka kare kasan nan shine idan ka rasa ranka aljanna zaka tafi.
The battle to ending the over a decade-long terrorist activities in the Lake Chad is continuing, and the Nigerian Army says it is committed to ensure stability for socio-economic activities to thrive, particularly in newly resettled communities. From Yemtake in Gwoza local government area for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
You're still watching Breakfast Central here on News Central Television. Let's give you a recap of the stories we dealt with in the first hour of today's show. Insecurity in Plateau, tensions rises amid recent attacks. The Gwoza community remains resolute to meet terror resurgence. A Minister of Defense visits Plateau, assures residents of security. And let's tell you what's coming up next on Breakfast Central this morning. Abia PDP dismisses threat of defections. And Quadri Alabi unveiling the untold story here on Breakfast Central. And also, Pope Francis died after cerebral stroke, says the Vatican. Do stay with us. Breakfast Central continues shortly.
The story of Quadri Alabi is one that has captured national attention and sparked conversations about justice and rights violations. Now, a 17-year-old boy whose life took a dramatic turn after standing in front of Peter Obi's convoy during the 2023 presidential election is the cause of our conversation today. This act of defiance made him a symbol of political engagement. And what followed was a harrowing journey, false accusations, and months of detention. Quadri was accused of armed robbery, a charge that lacked credible evidence. He was detained for 3 months at Kirikiri Correctional Center. But you already know that part of the story, so let's give you the untold story of Quadri, as we're now joined this morning by the youngster himself, the one at the center of this case, Quadri Alabi. Thank you very much, Quadri, for joining us. And we're also joined by his lawyer, Inibehe Effiong. Inibehe, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
And we're joined by Hassana Nuruddin, the co-founder, Ray of Hope Prison Outreach, who brought all this story to light. Hassana, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I think we'll start with you, Hassana. How did you come? You're the one who brought the story to our consciousness. You're the one who brought it out on social media. Tell us what led you to meeting Quadri in prison.
All right, so we organized a football match. Myself and Oiga Michael is on Twitter. So we organized a football match at Kirikiri, That's Twitter influencers versus Kirikiri inmates. So that day during the march, a guy, his name is Jonathan, he wrote a note to the one of the warden, yeah? So the woman came to meet me after the march that she's looking for social person because he listed some names on the letter. So when she listed the names, I told her, okay, madam, don't worry, just give it to me. I would work on it. So I reached out to Wizarab, you know, and some other people. They were like, okay, just post it. So Wizarab posted it. So okay, so back to Jonathan. Jonathan was owing a sum of about 1.2 million naira, and that's why he's been in prison for over 3-4 months.
Wow.
So we raised the money on Twitter, and Egi Nupe, that's the foundational Nupe lawyer, he handled the case, and Jonathan was out. And after Jonathan came out, he told me about Quadri. He was like, do you know that boy that stood in front of Peter Obi's convoy? I was like, no. Yeah, I remember the picture. So when he told me the boy was in prison, I was like, how? And nobody knows about it. He said, no. I said, okay, can you give me his mom's number? I called the mom. She told me about the case, and, you know, we went to the court March 28th. Yes, that was 27, sorry. So went to the court 27, and, you know, after then I posted online that, okay, guys, this was going on. So now I jumped on it.
All right.
Now, I guess the natural progression is to hand it over to Inebe. When you heard about this case, and first of all, I must commend you and your team for the fantastic job you did in securing Quadri's release and the speed at which he took. Could you share the journey with us?
Okay, so like Hassana has stated, she brought the matter to public attention. Immediately she posted it, I was receiving a stream of messages from different people. And one of the earliest people who contacted me after her tweet had gone viral was Mr. Peter Obi, who called me in respect of the matter. A couple of other Nigerians also told me, oh, this is something you should take up. That was when I also directly interacted with Hassana, and then the family had to engage me for the matter to be taken up. Now, as a Nigerian, I've always had a clear position on cases of persecution. So it was not difficult to immediately take remedial steps to ensure that Quadri regained freedom. So what we did was to instantly escalate the matter, bring it to the attention of the appropriate authorities, proceed to the court, find out the status of his case, apply for the necessary documentations, and then we made an application to the director, to the learned magistrate. The matter was supposed to come up on the 28th of this month. They were able to bring it forward to last Thursday. That application was granted, and then the DPP also immediately had to have his file reviewed. And then they found as a fact that truly Quadri had no case to answer. There was no evidence to support his arrest or the effort to have him prosecuted for armed robbery. And then we went back to the court. The magistrate implemented the advice, and Quadri was accordingly discharged. Now, typically when a person is discharged, the implication in law is that the matter has not been determined on the merits. It has not gone through the full scale of trial. But the discharge in this case has the effect of an acquittal, because he cannot subsequently be retried for that same offense, okay, based on the advice of the DPP that has exonerated him. Beyond that, my own personal investigation, because my attitude to these cases, I don't jump on them because they are viral, because the case is sensational. Yes, because I mean, there have been cases that the whole country is talking about, and I just stay on the sideline and look and watch. Before you see me get on any matter, I must have a personal conviction. I must do my own due diligence. So I went, before I even went public about it, I met with him, with Quadri, had an interview with him spanning over 2 hours. I also spoke with him. I did everything as a lawyer to have them contradict, you know, the things they had told me, but they were consistent in what they said. And the sequence of events substantiated what they had told me. So I was convinced that this was another case of abuse of police power.
Right.
So we took it up, and then we are here now.
Okay, we'll come back to talk about where we are with the case, but let's bring in Quadri. Quadri, how are you first? You're fine.
Are you sure?
Are you sure? Yes. So what happened? How did you find yourself inside police cell? How did they arrest you? What happened?
That day I was coming back for around 8 o'clock. So, and the place that I want to pass now, they don't fight for it before. And I didn't know. I don't come back. And I came down for the Mowa. I should be going. I want to enter our street gate like this. I didn't know that all police, they are surrounded the area with those area boys. So when I'm going there, they see about someone does really see into among people, those people will fight the DD. I just come back for my phone. My mom, they packed all of them, they took me to the police station. They put me for sale. In the around 10, they now carry those elderly men come. Now join them together. That those elderly men, they like this. I told them that I don't have this me too. It's only me that you people cash me. I don't meet anything for my hand. Why don't carry those elderly men?
Hold on, we need to address something. We need to go one very short break. We'll come back. May you continue the story. We're still speaking with Quadri Alabi as he details his journey of wrongful arrest and being kept in Kirikiri Correctional Center. We'll be back to delve deeper into the story. Stay with us. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still speaking with Quadri Alabi, the young 17-year-old young man who was unfortunately arrested and thrown in Kirikiri. Quadri, so now tell us what happened. You know, how they take arrest you? How you find yourself inside prison and what happened for there?
I was coming back for work that day. That is around 8 I was coming back for work. So I don't know that there are fights in the afternoon. They say that they don't fight for there before. And I didn't know anything. I just come down, start to be going inside house. So those police and those area boys, they have surrounded the area. So now, they are not going. All of them, they just come outside. See, stop there, stop there, stop. What happened? See, I want people win the fight. See, I don't even come back for work. They took out inside my pocket, carrying my money, my phone. They took me to the police station, put me there for the cell. So after around 10 and I carry those elderly men come. 4. It's 4. And I carry them, and I took them where they took me, and I put them, then I joined together. Those elderly men, there's my kiss me, and I told them, I know I've kissed me too. It's only me that you people cash you, and you people don't meet anything from my hand do. You see, I shut up. In the morning, the complainer come, those complainers, husband and wife, they come. They see, they should call us, should come outside. They come and call us, come outside. And I say that you should stand. See, they told the complainer that should be pointing those people that their face show that time they're fighting. So they start pointing. They put those elderly men. He reached my own turn. He told the DPOC, this one, I don't know this one official. He told them, even from court, that the carry us before the carry us, you spend like almost 1 week. Inside say, you spend like almost 1 week before the carry us go court. Now carry us go court. So that's the highest question for the complaint. I say they should stand up.
So when he talks, when you reach your turn and he talks, say he no know you, come happen.
He say no know me. They say as they catch me now, they no feel leave me. They don't leave those other elderly. I see if they leave me, they will leave them. So they say they will carry us go inside say back. Those complainers say me they carry us go, say me they carry us go court. For the carry us go, spend like almost 1 week. Five of us, we spent like almost 1 week, and that took us to the court. So I should use the court now. The complainant self, husband, they come again. It's same to what they see in police station. They see in court that this boy, you don't know this boy, but those baba, you see them for the time they are fighting. You see them. So they ask those baba, see what make them they fight. They see because they burn their shop. See the people with the shop, they burn her. See that's why they won't join people with the fight. And I told us that we go to kill. See no other now. The carry us go. Shall carry us go to the kill. See we use the kill. First see the very I have number. I know I have my mommy number. She I have number. See, I don't have number now, but I'll still have. Then I say, they should carry me come outside. See, I should go and build sheets from morning to night, and from morning to 6 o'clock. If you want to enter, see, because I no plan, I don't give my share money. I should go and build sheets. Every day by day, they go, and must open, you see, one building sheet. They get now sometimes they have those other people come, as salary do, they now carry them come, they now leave me. Those people now took them, see, the other one, they should go and building the sheet.
What's in the meaning of to build sheet, to clean faces?
The soccer way, you have one big bucket like this. They will tie rope, you will carry it, one point inside the bush.
My goodness.
I've seen this.
I want to come to you, Ndume, and looking at the Nigerian criminal justice system, if this case didn't get to a radar, what could have happened? Looking at the progression.
It will still be in Kirikiri today. It would have woken up in Kirikiri this morning. That is what would have happened. Because Quadri is just one of the many Nigerians, young and old, that have been abandoned by the justice system.
We complain about prison congestion. So why is it that the magistrates, I don't know, or the police, or I don't know whose table the blame lies, are always quick to remand in prison if you have a congestion problem? And beyond the congestion problem, it's a miscarriage of justice.
Yes.
So looking at Quadri's case, where are the fault lines? Where are the red flags? And is it possible for him to take remedial action against those who wronged him?
The Nigeria police force is the primary culprit for the congestion of the Nigerian prisons. It is the police that must take the blame for the number of Nigerians that are thrown into prison on a daily basis. So if you've had interactions, if you've had cause to have dealings with the police, once someone is arrested and taken to the police will simply say, even without any shred of evidence, charge the matter to court. Let the court decide. That is their language. Charge the case to court. It's not at the police station that you tell us whether you are innocent or guilty. If you challenge them, where is the evidence against this purported suspect you've arrested? Leave that, lawyer, when you go to court. So that is their mentality. Charge the case to court. So the police will go on raids, pick up innocent people. Police will arrest husband because she did not smile at the wife. Police will go to look for Mr. A. They cannot find they take the sister of Mr. A. all these cases charged to court on a daily basis. And that is what happened in Quadri's case. They arrested him along with others. No case, no evidence against him, implicating him, but their mentality is always push everything to the court. And this is happening every single day. And that explains why the custodial centers are congested. But I also agree that on the part of the court, the magistrates have not done enough to deter the impunity of the police. The magistrates should be able, to look at these applications for remand. Because what used to happen before now, we had what used to be known in our law as a holding charge, where the police will arrest someone for an offense that the magistrate had no jurisdiction. The magistrate will simply remand the person pending advice of DPP. But the SCJ, starting from Lagos in 2011, was introduced to provide for remand proceedings that is supposed to limit the period of detention, that is supposed to give the court the power to supervise remand orders. But what has happened is that, like everything in Nigeria, quite sadly, the remand procedure under the law has now been abused. So the magistrates must be able to checkmate the impunity of the police. And lawyers must also do more. Because I have also had courts in other cases, like the case of Seeking, the TikToker, where it was taken before the magistrate court in Ogba. And they claimed they were going to remand him for treason. Treason!
At the magistrate
court in Ogba. And I simply rushed to the court, and I was able to truncate that remand. Otherwise, Seeking will probably still be in detention today. And we've also been able to do that in some other cases. So members of the bar must also take a responsibility. And that is part of the mandate. When Afamosigo FN, the current president of the NBA, was sworn in, part of the things they did was to set up the committee called the Citizens Liberties Committee, which I happen to be the secretary. And our mandate in that committee is to ensure that rights of Nigerians in custodial centers, in police custody, are addressed, that people that are wrongfully detained, they are able to secure, where in the committee has the mandate to secure their release. The NBA has human rights committees in all the branches in the country. That human rights committee must begin to ensure the implementation of the provisions of the ACJ and the ACJL, which gives the heads of courts, the chief judge of state in particular, that the mandate to ensure that magistrates visit police stations on a monthly basis to ensure that those who are detained beyond conditional period, that their rights are remedied.
Right.
Because Quadri, before he was taken to court for even the remand, was already detained for about a week, which is quite glaring, which is a clear act of injustice.
Right.
Once you have detained someone beyond the conditionally permissible period, any subsequent order of remand does not cure that infringement.
All right, we'll come back to talk about what the remedies are for Quadri. But I'll come back to you, Quadri, now. Part of the conversation where we hear, we say, when you meet His Excellency Peter Obi, say your people, those area boys, can't they worry you? Not true?
Yes.
Tell us.
The first time when I met him at Alaba, so because I know that some they have carried me. Some people, before I reach house, go. So many people have seen this. Second, to me start of what Peter Obi want to. I shall reach house like this, and all those boys come. That money go follow share. We must grow us inside that money, and beside our house, one ballet is there. So that ballet too. Those boys, they would tell us, they give so boy, they give her money. That boy got called my mom now. See, my mom should come. My mom now go. That my mom now go. Now start to be telling my mom that that money that you give your boy, is only nobody will share her. Will follow share her. Will cut her into two. Will give me and my mama will share her or less. Your pikin will your pikin I will say that way you don't like who. As my mom hear that, I start to cry. See, I will see it and see why you cry. You see, as I say, now how much work on it. It was see, my mom tell her she will give that mommy 50-50. She say no. My mom see that another 100. Yeah, mommy, yeah, take 100. Your mommy to take 100. Sure, you collect it.
So they collect money from your mommy hand?
Yes. After I collect money, it's not told my mommy again that my mom should go and buy rice. She should share for all those boys. She should buy cow. You should kill it and share it to those
all those boys. My mom be buy rice, but you know buy that cow. She share it for our compound. Share it. So the first one, the next day, they fight for that area. Say they fight. So inside our house, inside our house, what I carry police come. That bally go. See me, among people in the fight. Now I carry me the first time.
And this fight different from this. So this one is the second one we have.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, we'll go on a break, and when we come back from the break, Quadri will lead us through the story of his first arrest. Stay with us. Before we went on the break, Quadri Alabi was leading us through the story of his first arrest, how he'd met with His Excellency Peter Obi and his community, the Bale, led a charge against him and his family, asking for their own court. Quadri, before we go that break, you talk, say, after the next day, after your mommy don't share rice, say, Bale, now lead police come on our house, talk, say, you there among people where they fight. What think can happen?
As those police carry me, I carry me go to the station. It's only me. No carry another person come, it's only me that they do.
And you know they fight?
That time go, this hand is spilling me. I use it and break. It's spilling me that time. So I know it's to come outside with this hand. Because that hand is just be going small. With that hand, they carry me go to the station, sha. As I reach station and they say I should write statement. The DP will come, you see. No, I should not write down. They should help me to write down. They write down. They carry me go to the correctional center at Gwoza. I took me to there. So when I reach there, they ask me to tell about. Tell them that this like this. So when they say you should go inside, say they should go and give us food, should eat, they should bob our head. The next day, the carrier come outside again. I ask question that the DPUC, they should ask us question. That time, it's not that one that is there now. That one, you have belly like this, that DPU, that first one. You have the fat, you have all the fat. So you send those police come that they should come and tell those officer that they should call us, come outside. See, they should ask us one or two things. They not call us outside. That other one, they start to be asking us that where's our cutlass. They see those DPC, you have cutlass, you have gun, you have something like that. So I took me to it. They say, I know something like that to see, all those people, they're lying, no mind them. So I should go. So when I don't give them my mommy number, they call my mommy. They explain to them that your boy is here. So they told my mommy the road. See if they want to come. So my mommy, the next day my mommy come outside. See my mom have come. I should come and see my mom. They help me buy and some to go those provision come. So when you see the ballet, see you have gone and meet so many people that they should come and help him to beg him. See, I don't know what I do to him. He should do why he's doing like this. See, my mom see time he send people go. No answer at all. See, my mom you stand up, see your pikin, you must go jail. I must send that go where you no lie. See, my mom stand up, see, so far see, you know be God. So far see, now God at the serve. Now God will come out. So, it's my mom that later come and bail him, and I come outside.
Very, very sad story and heartbreaking to say the least. I want to bring in Hassana into the conversation. Your outreach, just hearing Quadri's case, how many cases have you done in the past that are similar, and what do you think the biggest problem is?
And in answering that question, I know that there were insights that Quadri might have missed out on that she, maybe wants to speak to.
Okay. For Ray of Hope Prison Outreach, alongside my co-founder Stephen Ogoyinka, we've released about 22 inmates since 2022. We've had a lot of cases. I think that was last year. We released two minors as well, because when I saw the picture, he's a very small boy. That boy should be about 15. But the day I saw the picture, okay, a friend told me about him. His name is Junior. He also spent 10 years in prison. He went to charge. He didn't do anything. He spent 10 years in prison. So while Junior was even incarcerated, he's been telling me, he would call me, Mama, there's somebody I want you to help. There's somebody I want you to help. He was one who told me about Tumishe and Uba Nana. Uba Nana is currently at Tunde Onokoya's shelter at Ikorodu. So, you know, that day I posted about it, I was so angry. Like, I said, do you guys now keep minors in prison? This boy is too small now. So, you know, we started the whole thing. Now, I have to be very honest. Some of these people lie. They lie. You know, so most times I just tell them, see, just tell me the truth. If you want me to help you, just tell me the truth. Did you do what you're accused of? Because the very first day I spoke with Quadri's mom, I said, Ma, please tell me the truth. Is this boy guilty? Is he guilty of what he was accused of? She said no, that she has other people I can talk to. So the whole thing started from police. I mean, that boy, Tumishe was 15. They wrote 18. So falsifying their ages, I mean, it's a very
bad. Did
they
do that with Quadri as well?
Yes, they did.
No, I want to understand the psychology behind the Nigerian police acting like this. What's in it for them? You can obviously tell this biologically that this child is a minor. You falsify documents, and you want them to end up in prison, and you know the conditions of our prison. Why do they do this? I mean, is there a financial motivation at the end? Why are they so easily used and manipulated to settle personal differences?
Some of these ones are even, I mean, when you see someone, when you arrest someone like this one, does he have money? His parents don't even have the money to bill him. That's just the thing. So, I don't know, they just pick them up and dump them there. Because when I went to see the IPO, he told me he has just rounded up one gang member and all that. I was like, Oga, see, I'm not saying these boys are all saints, but you just have to, if you see Uban, and I can show you his picture, even the magistrate was telling me that this boy looks very calm now. Like, she was just begging me, okay, please, can you take this boy along? Because I actually went for Tumishe, to be very honest. But when I got to the magistrate...
Was the magistrate that was even begging you to take him?
Yeah, she said that Adigbe is congested, over-congested. And she said, Adigbe is far and Oregon is congested. I should please take Uban Nana. So that was how I got to take the two boys to Tunde Onokoya's shelter.
Okay. Let's bring in Inibehe now. Inibehe, so many wrongs have been done in this case to Quadri. Yes. From his first arrest, from his second arrest. I know you've made several demands from this second arrest. What are these demands, and how much response have you gotten to these demands?
Well, let me just quickly substantiate what she has said. This is not the first case involving a minor that I've taken up in the course of my career with the police. In all the previous cases, the police have always falsified the ages.
Is the high command of the Nigerian police aware of this?
I mean, why would they not be aware? It's an entrenched criminality that has been going on unabated. There was a case of a young boy in Akwa Ibom, you can Google it, who made a comment on Facebook against a House of Assembly member in my state. At the time, I think he was 16. The police arrested him, charged him to court. They put 18 for him. Because, you know why? Because if they put the real age, it will give them issues in the court. The magistrate will want to know. We are not saying the age of criminal, let me make a distinction. There's what is called the legal age of liability, criminal liability. Usually a child less than 7 cannot be charged for certain offenses, but teenagers can still be subjected to the criminal process. However, the procedure is different. So what they do is that they need to falsify the ages so that they are not questioned. Well, if you are a magistrate and a minor is brought before you and the age is clearly stated, You may want to look at the allegation against this minor. You may want to take a decision as to where this minor should be sent to. Whether it is proper to send this minor to where adults are being detained. So police have always falsified ages. Now, we have put our demands forward. I was listening to the Commissioner of Police this morning, during his interview in a sister station, where he made a couple of claims. I'm even scheduled to meet with him. I'm supposed to have a meeting with him today on the matter. But in the light of some of the things he said today, I'm even thinking whether I should go ahead with the meeting or not. Because it doesn't look like there's an honest, desire to ensure that the right thing is done.
What were the things that you said?
We've asked, number one, that they must pay him 100 million compensation. We have also asked that the DP of Amokoko should be removed and be subjected to orderly room trial, right? That is CSP Ismaila Olani Rom. And also we've asked that the area boys who abducted Quadri must be identified. His phone is still with them, by the way. As we're having this interview now, Quadri's phone is still with the so-called area boys. So they must be identified and be rightly prosecuted. And we are lastly demanding a public apology. Unfortunately, the Commissioner of Police went on air this morning saying that it was the DPO that arrested Quadri. Yes, that the DPO received a distress call. I mean, these are not facts. These are fabricated, claims. I want to assume that the CP would have been misled. They have lied to him. You can imagine CP talking about Quadri making a statement or a confessional statement. Quadri is here with you. Does it look like someone that if you give him pen and paper now to write a statement in English, he can do it? By law, if somebody is to make a statement now that may implicate that person, the Supreme Court has now ruled it must be either on video record or in the presence of his counsel. None of this happened. And the CP is brandishing a falsified, fake, fabricated, fraudulent statements in the media. And then he's claiming that the DPO was the one who personally arrested him based on a distress call. These claims are not true. So for the Commissioner of Police to go on air, personally this morning, to say those things, I am very disappointed. And he says he's carrying out an investigation. He wants to, what are you investigating? A matter that you've already investigated, gone to court, submitted the outcome of the investigation to the DPP. The DPP looked at it, saw there was no basis to arrest this boy. They took him to court, exonerated him, and he has been set free. You are still talking about investigation. Instead of punishing those that are involved, we are not going to be party to that kind of process. We are not going to be a party to it. If I meet the Commissioner of Police this morning, as I'm scheduled to, I will make this position clear to him that this is our demand. And if the CP feels that our demand is outrageous, then we'll go to court. But I'm not going to be part of any administrative review with the police because the CP has already quite startly taken a position to defend the DP of Amokoko. How many more minors would the Lagos police have to put through this horrendous process for the Commissioner of Police to appreciate the gravity of the matter? This was an abomination. This should never have happened. And you are coming to make excuses, indefensible excuses.
How do we ensure that we don't keep having repeated situations like this? And when we talk about investigations, the police in this case, a finger has been pointed at the police for being culpable in this instance. How can a party really investigate itself? So how do we really ensure, free and fair investigations, free and fair, that there's no conflict of interest at play here, and that we don't keep having repeated incidences like this?
There is nothing to investigate. There is no basis for any further investigation. They have done their investigation, purported investigation. Upon the basis of the so-called investigation, they submitted their file to the DPP as ordered by the court. The DPP looked at it because the prosecutorial authority in the state is the Attorney General. Section 211 of the Constitution is clear on that. And the AGs asked through the Department of Public Prosecution, headed by the Director of Public Prosecution. They have looked at the matter. They have found that Quadri had no case to answer. He has been set free. So what are they investigating? Do they want to investigate their own investigation?
Maybe an internal investigation to see the chain of command where things went wrong.
But it's clear. It's clear, my brother. It's clear. The facts have been set clear. You don't need to even ask for his birth certificate, which we have. I can show it to you. You don't need to demand for his birth certificate. Look at the photograph of Quadri when he stood before the convoy of Peter Obi in 2023. and then tell me what age he could have been at the time. You know, this is his birth certificate. You can look at it so that people can know that these are not just mere claims. What is the CP going to investigate? For the fact that this boy has been set free by the court, that is sufficient to remove the DPO. What is he investigating? He wants to investigate his age. He wants to investigate whether they had detained him beyond the conditional period. Is he not aware?
So what we're seeing here is a culture of impunity, and the police always has a way.
It is not isolated.
To defend itself, yes. And it's not isolated.
It is not isolated.
Where do we begin this? I mean, the MBA can only do much. How can other Nigerians ensure that the police is accountable and it's indeed there to serve and protect the Nigerian people?
Well, unfortunately, it will take political leadership. The police itself is incapable of reform. I have made that position clear time and again. The Nigerian police force is not reformable. Any reform that should take place in the police has to be external. But if you are expecting the Inspector General of Police, currently the current one, whose tenure was controversially extended, you know, to now be the one to reform the police, he has to start from himself. So who is going to carry out the reform? The rank and file who are on the streets arresting people, extorting people. There is no day in Lagos, I challenge you, there is no single day I drive in Lagos that police don't stop me on the road to ask for money. The day that, in fact, so that it will not look like an exaggeration, 85% of the occasions I drive on Lagos road, police will stop me. Of course, sometimes they are, you know, they are nice, most times they are nice about it. What do you have for us? But sometimes they realize, when they realize you're a lawyer, they let you go. But even at that checkpoint that they are letting you go, you probably see some young people dressed in a certain way being stopped. We see this is on the road. So nobody can tell Nigerians that the police will reform itself. It will take a president who believes in reforming Nigeria. And as I keep saying, if you have a leadership in a country that really wants to bring change, you must start with the police. Because the police is the primary law enforcement agency. The lawlessness we have in our country today is because the policing system has broken. You must also address the issue of the welfare of the policemen. Okay? Because they are not, in fairness to some of the officers, they are not well catered for. Right. You tell them, go and carry out an investigation. The resources are not there. If someone close to you, God forbid, is murdered today, and you file a complaint with the police, even in a case of murder, if you don't give police money, they call it mobilization or logistics. You must give them money, you must basically hire a vehicle for the police, for them to effect an arrest. You must pay for the autopsy. You must pay for the suspects to be brought in for questioning. You must pay even while the case is going on to call the prosecutor.
How can citizens genuinely say that, you know,
this is not the old structure has broken down. The old structure has broken down.
Okay, so now let's take the conversation away from that. I'm hoping that you get to meet with the Commissioner of Police this morning as planned, and that we can get to speak with you as to the outcome of the meeting. But now let's bring it back to Quadri. I know that you're raising funds for Quadri and that Nigerians have been showing support. How far with the funds? What are the plans for Quadri? And, you know, after you answer that, my final question will be to Quadri.
Well, we've made some. Initially, I was reluctant to disclose the amount, but, you know, this is
on the fringes, you are thrown under the bus of adversity, and you could be crushed, and nobody cares. The policeman who framed this young child up as an armed robber, what evidence did they have to throw him in prison? What was his crime? And for crying out loud, this was a 17-year-old boy who the police deliberately claimed was 18 so that they could get their way. So what Pope Francis' life taught us is what, for those who, again, are Christians, his was a life that explained graphically what Jesus was all about. There was a pastor the other day who was messianic, that Jesus never identified with the poor.
Yeah, he didn't hang out with poor people.
But then that was the most harebrained thing anybody could say. And that also it says a lot about the kind of Christianity some people are purveying in this country. The gospel of prosperity, and for them that is the beginning and the end of what it makes. Nobody preaches about salvation. Nobody preaches about empathy. Nobody preaches about taking care of those who cannot take care of themselves. And these are the things that Christ, in his ministry, exemplified.
Absolutely.
And that is the pattern. You talked about St. Francis of Assisi. So it was not a coincidence that when Pope Francis was elected Pope, he chose his papal name after St. Francis of Assisi, because that was a saint that identified with the poor, a saint that looked after the poor and all that. So the man at 88 has done his bit.
He lived a full life. I think it's safe to say that he lived a full life.
He lived a full life.
Mass a day before.
I think it's also very symbolic that he passed during the season of Easter. Very, very symbolic.
Of Easter.
Yes.
The first Jesuit to become a pope, the first man from Latin America. Of course, he was from Argentina and all that. And again, like I said, the way the entire world has been paying tribute to this one man, I'm not too sure that since after the death of Pope John Paul, I think John Paul II, that's about the only other pope in my memory that has attracted this level of condolences.
Right. We're still going to be speaking some more about the life and times of our Pope. Unfortunately, it's passed, because I think as Christians, the good side is we see when the person has passed that they've gone to be with the Lord, and we do not mourn like those that have no hope. We're joined this morning by our international correspondent, Efwa Hagan, who brings us updates regarding the passing of the Pope and the world's reaction. Good morning, Efwa. Good to have you.
Good morning.
Afia, I'd like to start with you're currently in the United Kingdom. I'd like to start with the Prime Minister Keir Starmer's statement, his condolence statement mourning the passing of Pope John Paul. Don't you think it's a bit rich coming from him in the sense that he's currently supervising or providing protection to Israel, who is, and the Pope was very vocal. He spoke so much about the Palestinian cause. What do you make of it?
Pope Francis, you mean?
Yeah, Pope Francis.
Absolutely. Pope Francis was very, very vocal about the cause for the Palestinians and, of course, the ending of wars all around the world. We know that every single day since the war started in Gaza. The Pope called the Catholic Church in Palestine, a very small Catholic community, but he called the church there every single day that was possible, even through his 38-day hospital stay when he could. And the last phone call he made to that church was actually on Saturday evening, wishing them well, asking them how they are doing. Now, when it comes to the statement from Sir Keir Starmer that he released yesterday, along with a whole swathe of world leaders, he paid tribute to the Pope, saying his leadership in a complex and challenging time for the world and the Church was often courageous, yet always came from a place of deep humility. Pope Francis was a pope for the poor, the downtrodden, and the forgotten. He was close to the realities of human fragility, meeting Christians around the world facing war, famine, persecution, and poverty. So yes, you know, him along with lots of other world leaders, including Donald Trump, the British King and Queen, paid tribute to the Pope. I think at this particular time, what world leaders are trying to balance and are trying to maintain is a sense of respect when talking about this iconic world figure who has passed away. I think the time for discussion when it comes to the politics of the situation, Pope Francis, someone who is very much on the side of not having a war, on the side of the Palestinians, and Sir Keir Starmer and other governments who have provided arms to Israel. Those conversations are not for this moment and this period of mourning. That's what government officials will be thinking. That at this point, what they need to do is be respectful and pay those respects. And Pope Francis was someone that who was quite good at embracing people who were on all sides of the debate. Didn't necessarily mean that he had time for them. He was known for sacking people who he didn't necessarily agree with. But he also was someone who was about embracing people and bringing them into the church. Right. And he definitely would have done that to world leaders. So I think that's what this moment is about.
I mean, indeed, you highlighted quite succinctly how his legacy would, his legacy is something that would not be forgotten in a long time, his legacy of associating with the poor. What would you think would be the key message? He's, of course, did speak on Sunday and then he passed on Mondays. Many would say it's quite symbolic that he passed during the Easter season. If, he could leave a key message to the world about his passing, what would you say the message will be?
Yeah, very symbolic that he passed on Easter Monday. I think his message would be one of humility and it would be one of service to the church, and that you have to be amongst the people. To be a proper shepherd, you have to be able to really smell the sheep. So I think his message would be one of being a humble servant to people. He was the people's pope, and I think that's the final message that he would want to pass on.
All right. I think another final question from me would be if we have any information regarding the Pope's burial and what the next steps are, even as the world continues to honor his life and his memory.
Yes, well, in the past few minutes, we have been given the information that the Pope's funeral will take place on Saturday morning, 10 a.m. local time in Vatican City. That's 9 a.m. In Lagos and in London. So that will take place at St. Peter's Basilica in the area of the Vatican City. We know that the Pope himself made his wishes clear that he wanted to be buried a certain part of the Vatican City, St. Mary's Basilica. So he will be buried there. His body will be lying in state transfer to the coffin tomorrow, so that well-wishers and mourners can come file past the coffin and be able to pay their respects. He has been laid in the coffin. There was a short service for him earlier on today. But like I said, his funeral will take place on Saturday morning.
Thank you so much, Afia Hagan, for speaking with us and giving us an insight into the current situation concerning the Pope. We'll join you again in a subsequent programming. Thank you.
Thank you, Afia.
Thank you, Afia.
All right, let's go back to the papers with Mr. Ikechukwu who's here with us. Let's look at the story still on the Punch. There's a very, very, interesting story that Nigerians should be concerned about. The top right corner there says, UK records 22,000 Nigerian asylum seekers. 22,000, And then this very interesting one, still on the Punch. Electricity failures inflate manufacturer's generator bill to 1 trillion naira. I don't understand. Do you have an insight into this? I mean, if there's power, then why is the manufacturers,
No, the cost of production. Manufacturers manufacturers.
Manufacturers in general.
Yes,
so like those who are producing whatever it is they are producing.
Maybe the sentence and structure is.
Yeah, I'm assuming that it's manufacturers in general that their bill has been increased.
Okay, well, let's hear the analyst. Maybe he has it.
Nigerian asylum seekers.
No, well, it is no news that Nigerians are fleeing the country in droves. If you go out there, those that are still left behind here, Joe, if you check, if you carry out a survey, 50% of them are here not because they want to be here, but because they don't know how to get out of this country. This country has become a hellhole for a lot of people, particularly younger people. So it is no news that so many number of people are seeking asylum, Nigerians in the UK. As it is in the UK, so it is with Canada, so it is
but they
in
say
the
it's
US.
not greener on the other side. Those guys are complaining of high cost of living too. So why do they want to flee?
You can't compare what is there and what is here, Wenger. And I can give you practical examples. Look, yes, the cost of living is not the same thing, but again, what is the inflation rate in the UK compared to what it is in Nigeria? Again, even if you are working as a casual worker in the UK, and of course you are earning minimum wage, I've lived in the UK, chances are that what you earn will pay your bills. Chances
regardless of blue collar or white collar, is wearing a blue collar, by the way.
If you pay your bills, accommodation does not come cheap in the UK. Perhaps a 10 by 10
very, very small, but
room there, you may be paying £400 a month. But the truth of the matter is that what you earn in a month is enough to pay your bills. In Nigeria, where minimum wage is 70,000 a month, what you earn can't pay your bills.
Rent is saying that a two-bedroom flat now is going for the least price is going for is 2 million naira least.
Where?
It depends on the area.
Two-bedroom flat.
Oh yes,
2 million.
Yes, 2 million.
It's cheap now. Where
That's least.
Oh,
I'm talking about if you're
saying your take-home allowance cannot even take you home.
So it can't pay. So when people say, look, there's nowhere you pick money on the streets, and that is true.
But Mr. Amechi, we went through this phase in the 1980s and 70s. In the 80s, I remember this song, Nigeria Go Survive, Andrew, Don't Check Out. So there was a national
I wonder where Andrew is now.
Andrew have checked out since. Andrew just built his second house in Canada, according to one blog like that. But let's get serious. We've been through this phase before, and countries go through phases and challenges, and it's not always green on the other side. What's your message for young Nigerians that seem to have lost any hope and don't have the means to japa? Because there's also a pull factor, there's a danger. Nigerians are not just using the airports, they're using the deserts, and so many people end up in Libya, they end up being trafficked. So what would you say to those people? And you're still here, and I don't think you have any plans of Japan anytime soon.
Because I am old now to leave. If I was still in my 30s, I will leave. I'll leave. There's no two ways about it, because there's nothing.
All right.
Here for any young person who wants to maximize his or her potentials. You come out of school and you spend 5 years, and these people are telling you, look, don't look for government employment. But how can you be self-employed in a system where you can't even get loan facilities. The banks are giving you loan at the rate of 32%.
Almost Ponzi scheme interest rate.
How do you do it? And then, even if you get the, what business are you going to do with a loan of 32% interest that you are going to survive?
CBEX.
In the first place. And that is why people are going into what we call money doubling. Because when they go into these Ponzi pyramid schemes, they simply want to double their money.
Okay.
And in trying to do that, they get scammed at the end of the day. So there is virtually no way for any young person to escape the calamity that he or she has been thrown into. And don't forget, the same people who are telling you to go out there, that you should not wait for government job, the people are creating opportunities for their children to get work in central bank, to get work in any NPC, to get, before those jobs are advertised, they have filled their children in those positions, thereby leaving the poor masses who have nobody to speak on their behalf. I was in Port Harcourt some time ago in the hotel where I lodged. I came out one morning and the security man that was right there in front of the door said, "Oga, please, I am a graduate. This guy read civil engineering at Federal University of Technology, 2-1. He is a security man, perhaps being paid 40,000. How can you survive in a system like that? And there are so many other people. The people who you see doing Keke Marwa and other things today are graduates. Now, what is the difference? Most of our guys who go to US, who go to UK, also do the same cab
business, yes,
job. But look at what they do, the houses they build back home, the standard of living compared to the man who graduated here and who is driving a taxi. So you can't compare. So when people say it is not easy there, it's not easy there because life is about struggle.
Right.
But you must have opportunities, and those opportunities are simply non-existent in Nigeria. Anybody who is telling you otherwise is simply not telling the truth.
I guess this is also maybe a reaction to the way we started our show today when we talked about Pastor Quadri Alabi's video. But let's move away from that. I want us to quickly touch on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. The big story there says, Kano, Katsina, Jigawa get 2-hour power supply daily. Small businesses suffer losses. KEDCO blames outage on system upgrade. Now, I've gone on to look into the story. KEDCO has apologized for the poor supply and blamed it on a system upgrade on its critical distribution infrastructure and vegetation control on electricity feeders, requiring safe working space for its engineers. Residents in the affected states have also been groaning as several basic amenities, such as water supply and others, are affected. If you see the ridiculous reports of this story, there are people, so for example, a resident in Kano State in Hotoro North, Malam Gambo Mohammed, said 25 liters of water sold at 70 naira before the shortage, and is now selling at 120 naira due to the power outage. You know, so how do we in 2025 explain that there are communities and states that are getting 2 hours power supply, 2 hours in 24 hours? Imagine what happens to businesses.
It goes back to what Joe said earlier about the 1 trillion that
electricity failures inflate manufacturers' generator bill to 1 trillion naira.
Exactly, because this is what it is all about. Many businesses don't rely on power supply from the national grid to do their businesses, particularly those businesses that have very sensitive machines that you can't afford to switch off. It will be suicidal to go on national grid. Now, 2 hours. Look, I was telling somebody the other day that this so-called banding of electricity supply, band A, is a fraud, a complete fraud. I live in an area that they said is Band A. My office is off Allen. Again, Band A. Joe, when this Band A thing came, we were told that we must have about 20 hours of electricity supply a day. That if you don't have, you should complain. Go and ask anybody who is in this Band A scam, because it is a scam, whether they get up to 10 hours. Where I live, I don't get up to 10 hours. Yet, my distance has been raised from about 62 naira per kilowatt to 206. So now, before you buy a distance of 100,000, you get about 1,400 and something units. Now you buy 100,000, you get 488 units.
Joe Ajero of the NLC said it's the highest level of phone.
It is scam.
Wow.
It is scam. I am telling you what I face every day. So that you go there, you buy 20,000 and it gives you only 88 units. It may not last you up to 2 days. And where do you get this money from? You're paying for that, you're paying for petrol, and the money is not out there. So how can you survive? It was the deputy governor of Lagos State the other day, who was complaining that his electricity bill has jumped from about 2.something million,
20 million plus,
to over 20 million. I went to Abuja last time. I was with a former minister, and he was lamenting. He says he spends average of 1.2 million every week on electricity bill. How can anybody survive on that? So when you get 2 hours in a day, if you are into manufacturing, you must look for alternative means of power supply. Even if not, those in service businesses, you must look for alternative distance. And you must pass the cost to the final consumer. So at the end of the day, that is why the cost of production is so prohibitive that you can't even compete.
IMF asked, as one of the loan conditionalities, to take out the tariffs on electricity and petrol. So I guess...
But there were some people who advised that... So, look, unless and until we have people who are economically intelligent and knowing the implications, rather than depending on the Bretton Woods institutions to tell us what to do, tell me one country in the world that has climbed out of its economic woes because it adhered to the conditionalities given by IMF, World Bank.
Last time I checked, none.
So why are we here celebrating? IMF endorsed the economic reforms when we know that those reforms are taking us
anti-people reforms
to nowhere. So we'll continue deceiving ourselves. But a country where a state or a people enjoy only 2 hours of electricity can never make economic progress. It is given. It cannot, because electricity is about the bedrock of any attempt at economic rejuvenation
and industrialization.
Without electricity, any thought of industrialization is just a mirage. It cannot happen.
As my great colleague Olive would always say, I guess it is what it is.
Yeah. No, I'm not the one, please. That's honorable charity, Jesse. No.
You say it once in a while.
It is what it is. No, the honorable charity, Jesse, is the game is the game.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Ikechukwu, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure to have you. Very sad stories we've had to discuss
And it was
today.
very instructive. We brought him, we didn't even know he was Catholic on the day after the Pope died. So great minds think alike.
Who are the great minds here? Are you part of us? So thank you to our audience as well. Thank you to everyone who's joined us this morning on Breakfast Central. We'll be back again with deeper conversations tomorrow. Join us. Remember to continue with other shows that will be on our platform. Do not tune away from News Central. We're watching you. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Olive Emodi.
And I'm Joe Hanson. Thanking you for joining us. Don't forget to follow us on all socials, and all the conversations we had this morning will be on YouTube, X, Facebook, and the likes. Make sure you go there, watch, drop a comment or two, and also tell us what you think as well.
Join us tomorrow for another fantastic episode of Breakfast Central, the best television show in the world. It is what it is.
It is what it is.